In this full 100% free course here on YouTube, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps you can take to build and sell AI agents to businesses in under an hour. You see, there has never been a better time to do this. AI agents are starting to become extremely powerful. The sentiment around AI and AI agents has changed in your favor, and there are genuinely millions of businesses across the globe who can all benefit from implementing AI agents. And the crazy part is, on the surface, AI agents look complex. But as you're about to find out in this course, they really aren't. So in the next 45 minutes or less, you'll know how to build and sell AI agents to create yourself a super high profit margin business and make thousands of dollars per month. A lot of the strategies I cover here is exactly what I use to build my multi-six-figure content agency. So let's get into it. Part one is identify what to build. And before you build anything, you need to understand what is actually valuable for people to use. Most people build these wild AI agents that look really impressive, but never make it into production because they're solving the wrong problems. Here's a secret. You want tasks that check these 4 boxes. The first is it's recurring. It happens regularly, not just once. The second is it has a high time commitment. It takes hours of work. 3, you want it to be high impact. It actually moves the needle for the business. And 4, it has to be reversible. If the AI screws it up, you can undo it and it's not a disaster. This is what I call the AI Goldilocks zone. Tasks that are important, but not too important. Think of your AI agent like an intern. Would you trust an intern to send emails to your biggest clients? Probably not. But would you trust them to draft content ideas that you review before posting? Absolutely. This is why the most successful AI agents focus on things like content creation, customer support, and lead generation. It's recurring tasks that takes a ton of time, and if the AI generates bad results, it's completely reversible, yet it's still high impact. But here's what nobody tells you. You have to be an expert in whatever domain you're automating. If you've never written successful cold emails, how could you possibly know if your AI agent's output is any good? This is why I always start with areas where I already have proven expertise. And frankly, the biggest mistake people make is trying to build AI agents for industries they know nothing about. You're not just building technology, you're codifying expertise. So when I built my content agency to a multi-six-figure business, I didn't start by trying to automate accounting or legal work. I started with content creation because I'd been posting for years, generating millions of views, and understand what actually works under the hood. So use this process when you're trying to choose what domain to work in. 1, where do you have hands-on experience? 2, can I immediately spot good versus bad output? Number 3, do I personally know businesses struggling with this problem? And this point is important when trying to sell these agents, and I'll touch on that later in this video, but that'll help you get your first, second, third client. For me, content creation hits all 3 of these. I build audiences, I've run agencies, and I talk to business owners who desperately need this help in this area. And this domain expertise isn't just a nice to have, it's your unfair advantage. Because anyone can copy your technical setup, but they can't copy years of experience knowing what converts and what flops. So the key insight here, start with what you know and then expand. Your expertise is the secret sauce that makes your AI agent actually valuable. So now you know what AI agents you should focus on using the Goldilocks method and what type of agent to build based on your expertise. It's time to actually go and build it now. I'm going to show you exactly how to build an AI agent step by step, going through different phases of the actual build. And we're going to be building a content ideation and scripting agent because it hits all of my personal criteria on what I should be building. It's recurring, has high time commitment, high impact, reversible, and I'm an expert in this space. And no matter what you're building, I'm going to cover some key core principles to think about when building these agents that apply to really anyone watching this video. Okay, so I'm going to be going through this doc, and as we build things off, I'm going to check it off this list. And what I'm going to build is an AI agent that's set up for myself, specifically for content creation. I'm going to be the end customer, so I want to configure it for me. And what I cover here is key strategies. This is what's important. Depending on the agent you're going to build, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And frankly, there are tons of specific tutorials on how to build what you're trying to build. I think actually executing and clicking the buttons isn't that complicated. It's the high level topics that I'm going to cover in this demo video. So first, we're going to walk through data sourcing. The output is only as good as the input. And so these are all key things to consider. Then we're going to go through output generation. This is actually creating the final product that the client, myself, would review and iterate from there. And each step along the way, I'm going to be diving into very key components as well as showing you exactly how this is built. So step one for data sourcing, how to gather training data to create a personal voice. So I want to create a personal voice for myself. A good way to do this is through ChatGPT agent. And this is a very simple out of the box way to create an agent that goes and completes a task for you. And the key for knowing what an AI agent is it's able to act autonomously to complete a task. You tell it, hey, I want to create a personal brand doc for me. It goes, it figures out how to do it and then execute it. This is different than called a workflow. A workflow is where you have a clear step-by-step process to complete a certain task. Now, in some cases, a workflow is better to use than an AI agent, and here is a different framework for you to decide when to use what. So, should I build an agent? Is the task complex enough? If it's complex, consider using agents. If it's not, a workflow may do, and we're going to get into exactly specific tasks that use workflows. Is the task valuable enough? Agents may be more expensive, so maybe a workflow will suffice. Are all the parts of the task doable? Can it actually be done? If yes, consider using an agent. What is the cost of error? So this is a key bullet I touched on earlier where can this be reversible? If it's a high cost of error, then you probably want the agent to only do read only, call it drafting the email versus sending the email. So if it's high cost of error, read only, human in the loop, we'll dive into that. And then low, an AI agent is a perfect candidate. Okay, so let's dive into this gathering personal training data for my voice. So here's a quick prompt. We're using ChatGPT agent. If you want to actually go ahead and do this, you can click here, the plus, and select agent mode and then type in your prompt. I've already done this to build this. So the objective, research my public profiles, Instagram, X, Twitter, YouTube, Medium, synthesize a structured personal data brief and save it to Google Docs inside the provided Google Drive folder. So I share all this information. I share Google Drive folder, I share the name. And so I can actually go ahead and watch what it does here. You can see it going through YouTube, opening videos, searching different profiles. This is a cool part where it comes into my Google Drive. It goes into my Google Drive. I need to clear up storage. And then it creates a folder. I can go and actually, or it creates a file. I can go and actually see the file. And so part of the output is we actually formatted it in JSON. This is just a way that AI can actually train better. The primary reason is it's a lot more clean and readable, and it's easier for computers to understand. So this is an AI agent that you could integrate directly, very low weight, very quick, and it acts. That's the key thing with AI agents is they complete tasks and they autonomously figure out the best way to solve the problem. And frankly, ChatGPT agent can do a lot of what you're trying to do, most likely. It really comes down to the prompt. So, okay, so we've gathered the training data and we understand the difference between a workflow and an AI agent. In order for the agent to have a high quality output for content creation, it has to look at what type of channels are currently winning and align with someone's personal brand or voice. The best way to do this is go find other channels, see what information they're posting on, see what people are liking, and use that as a source of inspiration. Again, you're data sourcing. You're going external, you're pulling that in to a source, to a what I call a data lake, which contains all the information that you want to train the AI agents on, which we'll dive into as part of the output generation portion. So what do we do for this? Well, we use a tool called N8N. This is a really good AI agent workflow tool. And when I go through this, I'm going to be using AI agent and workflow a little bit interchangeably because really the ultimate business goal is to complete a task. And it's your job to identify the best way to do it. In the case for the creating my training data, I thought a ChatGPT agent would actually be the best, quickest way to do this. And in this case, I think N8N is the best tool for this, creating a workflow. So what is N8N? Well, if you go to n8n.io, you can create an account and it's an entire workflow tool where you put steps together to complete a task. In this case, here is a look at a workflow that's all about getting training data from various YouTube channels. And this is pretty straightforward to actually do. Again, ton of YouTube videos, but there's key things I want to highlight that you need to implement when you're building out your agents to create something that's scalable and reproducible. The first thing when looking at this, you want to compartmentalize specific tasks as much as possible. Coming from an engineering background, generally speaking, you want to create and write code that is very easy to test. This way, if something goes wrong, you know where it went wrong. And if I zoom in over here, you'll see a couple of tasks where this actually executes sub workflows. So one of them is data ingestion YouTube. This is all about pulling YouTube data and writing it to a Google Drive. This one is all about combining files into a single file and then writing that to a Google Drive. These are sub workflows that are part of this parent workflow, which is all about getting data. And so just like walking through quick the step-by-step flow, when this is executed by another workflow, this is actually a sub workflow below another one. Let's go to that real quick. This is what it looks like. Here are the 3 channels that are set up for Mac and Cheesy. We have 2-minute papers, All In, and My First Million. And so this workflow will actually execute all 3 of these. So this is a concept of different workflows and compartmentalizing things to do specific tasks. Going back to like this demo doc, right? This is really an architecture of what I want done, right? I have data sourcing, I have generating ideas, and you want to break down these tasks as much as possible. And this is where your domain knowledge comes in, like what is needed for this. In this case, I knew that I needed to get data from YouTube. I need to upload it to Google Drive, which is where my data lake is. And then I know I want to combine it all into a single file. So it's easy for me to work with. So it gets the channel name based on the URL I passed in. It sees if there's a Google Drive already created for this. If there is, it goes. If there isn't, it'll create an actual folder. And this is your workspace. So each of these little blocks can be generated using this, and it integrates really with most tools you're likely using. So let's say it's Google Drive. Let's say it's YouTube. Let's say it's Twitter. Let's say you want to schedule something, schedule trigger. There's a bunch of different ready to go blocks. Let's say you want to use ChatGPT, OpenAI, and you stream these together to create a single workflow. And it goes from left to right. So once this happens, then this, etc. And it completes the full task. That's a general gist of what you see going on here. This is a data ingestion step specifically for this workflow. And I've think of this like the client configuration. So for Mac and Cheesy, he likes these 3 channels. So I'm going to use these sub workflows. I'm going to reuse them for this specific client so that I can execute this whenever I want. And now you can see it executing, it's running these, it's getting data. What does the final product look like for this? So here's 2-minute papers, one of the channels that Mac and Cheesy, myself, looks at. And here's all the different training data that it can actually have. This is all the different training data that I've pulled for this specific account. And then what I also do is I process these files into a single combined file. So here's 2-minute papers where it's pulling transcripts into a single file that I can just copy and paste to help use AI. And this data will then be leveraged by AI to generate ideas. This is call it step 1 in the workflow. And I know I went through a lot pretty quickly there. So let's just regroup, right? So we're using N8N. We're creating specific workflows that have different triggers. I try and partition these workflows into actionable and very testable functions or workflows that you can then pass into a parent workflow. This allows you to identify problems if they come up. In this case, I've set a configuration for Mac and Cheesy, our client, to run through 3 different channels so that every week new data can be sourced and analyzed by the model that we're going to build out later. And if this feels like a lot to you and you don't know where to start, you can actually leverage AI to generate JSON files that create these entire workflows for you. Here's an example way to do it. In this case, I go to Claude. Please give an N8N JSON template that I can import to N8N workflow. To import to N8N, the workflow must be this. Workflow is triggered every day. Then it checks the Notion database column if there is a database page, yada, yada, yada. You can just explain what you want it to generate the workflow as, and then it creates a JSON where you can come into N8N and it'll actually create the different blocks for you and what's needed. So the best way to do that is you click up here and then you import from a file. You select the file and then it'll generate the workflow for you. Just for completeness, the data sourcing workflows that I just ran have all executed properly. And you can see at the time of this filming, 2-minute papers, My First Million, All In podcast. All of these are files that I'm going to reference later to help generate output by the AI. So I went through data sourcing from external services. This is a standard workflow. let's just go back to that. Does this, does this, does this, does this. There's actually no AI involved in this process. This is about getting data that you can then leverage for creating optimized outputs. And the reason that I know to do this is because I have experience in this industry and I know what to look for. And that's why choosing the type of AI agent that you want to build is so important. So, okay, so we've done these. Let's cross these out. Now we have data. We have my personal brand. So now it's time to create ideas for Mac and Cheesy. And that goes to output generation. One of the things with AI agents is you need to be able to prompt them properly to create outputs that you want. And I personally think the best way to do this is by crafting your prompt in ChatGPT or in Claude to then bring into your agent to help direct it to get to the final output that you want. So before you build anything really custom, go and get your hands dirty with one of these tools so that you can craft the output. Here's a great way to do this. I like using Claude for writing. So this is where I work. I use a project, I create a new project, and then I bring in training data. So let's say we're creating short form content. Here's short form ideation, short form content. I have different project knowledge. So here's my brand brief. That's that file I created in the first step. You can import it, Google Drive, you can paste a link. That's why I like doing everything on Google Drive for my data lake because it's really easy to integrate. That brings in this brief. And you can bring in really any training data you want. And then you need to create the actual prompt. So a great way to do this is, let's say, is to use AI to actually generate the output that you want. So let's say it's just create an optimized prompt for creating ideas based on training data and making sure, let's say, creating short form content ideas based on training data and making sure it aligns with the brand brief that is in the project knowledge. So you send this and it'll create a prompt that you can then use. And once you iron out the prompt, that's when you bring it into your AI agent and your AI workflows, because it's so much easier to iterate here than it is on tools like N8N or ChatGPT agent. Okay, great. So let's say this is our output. Let's let it finish. Okay, great. It creates a prompt. Then what I do is I can just come back here. I have this prompt that I can then use. And then I can go to the Google Drive. Here's the files that I just created. And let's use the All In podcast. And then I'm going to say, and then I hit send. Ooh, it looks like they talk a lot about politics in this transcript. This is actually great because this prompt didn't let me use this transcript to create ideas because it didn't align with the brand brief that I shared. So let's try that again, but instead with a different transcript. Maybe that prompt it generated wasn't perfect. So let me come here. I'm going to say tweak this prompt so it creates 5 short form content ideas based on the transcript I share. Okay, that creates a prompt for us. Come here, boom, boom. Then I'm add from Google Drive, 200 papers. And using that plus this transcript, it comes away with these ideas that are honestly pretty gas. AI automation hack. I built a game in 30 minutes using this secret AI, no coding required. The free AI that rivals $100 a month ChatGPT. Why everyone's wrong about open sourcing AI. This changes everything. Photo trick that built my 50K side hustle. Anyone can do this. Not bad. The key here is that we're ironing out our prompts and how we interact with AI outside of more complex tools where what I call like productizing it. You got to make sure that it works manually before you can automate the process. Okay, so we just went through crafting your AI prompts using data, using ChatGPT or Claude projects. And then next is all about actually generating these ideas in a automated workflow or an AI agent. And the key here there's three different things I want you to keep in mind. The first is human in the loop. What human in the loop is when there's an automated workflow, instead of doing it entirely end to end, there's a person that comes in and checks the output. This is very critical for a lot of high value things because you need to make sure that the AI is doing what you want it to do. In the content example, you wouldn't have the AI agent creating the idea, writing the script, and then hitting the post for the creator because bad things could come from that and that could harm the person's personal brand. Instead, you would have it create the idea, have the creator review it, then maybe draft a script, and then have the creator finalize it. That's a human in the loop. The next concept is called prompt chaining. And this is where you have multiple AI prompts in a row. So prompt chaining decomposes a task into sequence of steps where each LLM can processes the output of the previous one. So think of it like this, like output one, LLM does this thing. The next output, that has an output, that then prompts or triggers another AI. That output then triggers another. So it's LLM call one, et cetera, et cetera. This is prompt chaining. The final, which I think is really, really powerful, is evaluator optimizer models. Think about this as if there's like employees collaborating together to make sure the final output is as good as possible. And so the process here is, let's say you have an LLM output. It comes away with a solution that then triggers an evaluator who will be like, oh, that solution's good or that solution's bad. Here's feedback. If there's feedback, the other LLM will run it again and it'll keep going until the output is sufficient and then it'll be accepted. In the content world, this could be someone who's reviewing the script before it actually gets to a human in the loop. They're reviewing the script and it's like, okay, this is good to show. So let's go into a workflow that's all about generating ideas. So here's a breakdown of exactly what this could look like. And I like using these graphs because it lets you think about what's going on in these tasks. So this first part is, this is going to get the files in the process file folder that have created within the last 24 hours. The primary reason for this last 24 hours is I want to look at fresh new data. If you look at that data lake for all these process files, which is all the combined transcripts, there's a lot of older files, but I only want to look at the newest ones. Fresh, new content. Goes through, it finds them, yada, yada, yada. So after it's found the files it wants to run and analyze, this is where the AI agent comes in. And to create, fucking did that twice. And so if you want to set up your own AI agent, you just come in here, you type AI agent, that creates a block. There's prompt. That creates a block, and there's a couple of different values that you can put. In this case, let's center this. So here's the chat mode. And in this case, because I played around with it in Claude, that's where I was finalizing the prompt and what I wanted it to do. So I'm bringing in Anthropic and then the different model that I want to use. In this case, I selected Claude Sonnet. I have an account with them. And so this is the model I'm going to use. You can choose whatever model you want your AI agent to leverage. Within this AI agent, I have a specific prompt. Imagine you've already ironed this out. This is the prompt. And then think of the system message as this is the background information that the AI agent has. If we're doing a one-to-one example, think of this as the prompt. And then if we go to the project, think of this as the project knowledge as that system message. And then another key thing here is the actual prompt that I want the output to be formatted as. In this case, it's creating ideas. And so I wanted to clearly structure it in a format of content idea, title, content idea, title. This way in the workflow, I can, and this is where that evaluator model comes in, I can analyze the output and very easily know because it's clearly structured. And then one thing to call out, the memory, this is if you want your AI agent to like remember past history and have a memory of what's happened previously. So like this can reference different databases, different history. In this case, it's not needed because I'm actually only passing in information that's pertinent to this specific topic and this specific run. So, okay, so that's generating the ideas. And then here is where it's a modified evaluator model. I have a evaluator called head of brand. And this is Think of it as an employee that's like, hey, anything that's created, it needs to be in a specific tone. I don't want an idea that doesn't align with the creator that I'm building this for. For whatever model you're building, let's say you're writing cold email scripts, you can have a expert cold email writer where it reviews all of them and it only chooses the ones that it likes. And if it doesn't like any, it provides feedback. And very easily, you could just create a loop where it keeps going until the output is what is needed. And I have a detailed video on creating really complex evaluator loop models, which is linked in the description if you want to check out and learn more about that. But that's really where it gets powerful. So once it goes to the head of brand, the goal of this is to rate each of these ideas based on a brand score. And then I have code where it'll only select the top 5 and then add that to a Notion database. So after running this AI agent, it creates these ideas in a Notion database. And this was a key design choice for specific reasons. And this is an important part. And then we'll actually take a look at the ideas. When you're designing these AI agents, the most important thing is that whoever you're working with, it doesn't give them more work. And in order for that to be done, the best way to do it is to integrate with what they're already doing. So if somebody's already using Notion, you want to integrate with Notion. If somebody's already using Google Docs, you want to integrate with that. So this comes to the architecture of how you're actually building it out. In this case, I use Notion, so we're going to integrate it with Notion. So coming back to this, here's a sample database with different ideas that were generated from this. And part of the output was having like research as well as the hook angle, key topics, etc. And so in this case, the hidden AI supply chain that will make millionaires. So imagine that, right? These are 5 ideas that brought in here. I already brought in some of these to scripting. And so human in the loop, I review them. I like these too. So I like the 60-second AI hardware stack that could make you rich. And then why smart founders are ignoring Silicon Valley for these, right? Okay. The content matters less. The workflow is what matters here, right? So this is this whole process, right? It's getting data that we got in the first part. It's using an AI agent with a prompt that we've already optimized outside of this workflow because that's the best and most efficient way to do it. And then it's integrating into a database that I use or that the client uses, reducing friction to actually integrate this into production. So let's go here, right? Generate ideas. Prompt chaining, you'll notice, let's just go back and make it super clear. You'll notice that it does, this is one AI prompt, and then this also uses AI. So it's using one AI and then the next. In this case, this is a simplified evaluator optimizer model because the head of brand is only selecting certain content ideas to push through. So, okay, so we've covered all this. Then that's where it's like human in the loop. Okay, I like these ideas. Okay, for those ideas, think about it. What would we need to do? Well, we would need to get those ideas that it likes and then write a script. So let's do that. So here's the final part of this workflow, right? Check if there are cards in the scripting column. That's that Notion database we show. The logic makes sense. Key here is that the trigger is on a schedule. This could run every 30 minutes. This could run every 10 hours. This could run every Monday morning. And this is checking or polling to see if the person, myself, has reviewed these. You don't know when they're going to review it, but you want to make sure that the automation that you've built out is ready when the time comes. So I bring those over, it picks it up, and then you want to write the script. In this case, we're using Anthropic AI agent. It has an output. And then once all that has been outputted, it's going to actually append it to the ticket. So now I'm going to actually just trigger this right away and you can see it in action. So here, you'll notice there isn't any script on either of these, but let's imagine, okay, I came in, I like these are worth scripting. And then I'm going to come here and I want to run this flow. First flow, created the ideas, human in the loop, approved it. Next flow is now generating the ideas. And now I come here and I can see the script. Check this out. While everyone's fighting over Silicon Valley office space, the smartest AI companies are quietly fleeing to places like Oklahoma City and Buffalo. And it's not just about cheap rent. It's about something way more important. Kind of a banger open. And now I've created these ideas. I've created this workflow. And the truth is that this exact process is what I use, and it saves me probably 15 hours a week when creating content. So we've written the scripts based on client interaction. Before we move on to actually selling the AI agent, I want to go really quickly through what we just did. So first, it's all about the data. We focused on getting the data and figuring out the quickest, most repeatable solution there. You need to figure out the best way to do it. That's for certain. The second is you need to iron out the prompts outside of the workflow. Figure this out, do a manual process, and create something that creates a valuable output that you manually do, and then you can bring it into an automation tool. Then you set up AI agents and AI workflows from the first two steps. Make sure to compartmentalize each individual task as much as possible and use the evaluator model with things like head of brand to make sure your outputs are actually really good. And the entire time you need to leverage you need to leverage your industry expertise so the output can be valuable and it can integrate directly with what business owners in the industry are actually using today. And you have to be flexible. So we've created an AI agent that is scalable and works. Now we have to go and sell it. By the way, before I dive into selling an AI agent, what I'm showing you here isn't just a cool AI trick. This is how you become irreplaceable. Now, there's a lot more when you want to stay ahead of AI than AI agents, which is why I put together a free 5-day email course about making yourself irreplaceable with AI. If you click the first link in the description, you'll get similar strategies you're seeing in this video, plus a complete playbook for turning AI from your biggest threat into your unfair advantage. Again, it's 100% free, but if you're anything like me and learn best with bite-sized lessons you can implement immediately, you'll be glad you signed up. Now back to the tutorial. Let's dive into how you can actually sell this thing and start generating income. Part 3, selling the AI agent. Before we get into selling, you need to understand the massive opportunity that's sitting right in front of you. There are approximately 2 million US businesses generating between 500K and 10 million in revenue that desperately need AI help, but really don't know where to start. And one thing you have to understand is you are not late. If I have learned anything, it's that you are always early. I thought I was late to Bitcoin and crypto in 2014 when Bitcoin was about $700. And then again, when it was like $8,000. And luckily I wasn't like, oh, I'm too late, because getting involved in that fully changed my life. And the same thing is happening here. You're not entering a crowded market. You're entering a market with basically zero competition. So how can you start selling? These businesses know they need AI, but they're drowning in buzzwords and don't trust the random AI consultants hitting their inboxes. They want someone who understands their actual problems, not someone trying to sell them the latest shiny tool. And this is why domain expertise really matters so much. The businesses that win in this space won't be the ones with the fanciest AI tech. They'll be the ones who understand real business problems and happen to use AI to solve these more efficiently. So let's talk about packaging your AI agent into a real business. There are 4 proven models for monetizing, and most people pick the wrong one first. The first model is called done for you service. This varies on the service, could be anywhere from 1K to 10K a month. Like I said, you build and run the AI agent for them. They pay you a flat fee. You handle everything: setup, training, daily operation, optimization. This is a similar offer to what I started with when I started building my content agency. I'd literally run their entire content system and just send them the outputs for approval. I like this because you're very hands-on with the business and you will learn more throughout the process. And as mentioned in the demo, consider this an opportunity to run water through your AI agent workflow, and it's on-the-job training to improve it. And the more hands-on you are, the more you'll be able to improve it before moving to Model 2. And which Model 2 is, you have a one-time setup fee. This is where you build the AI agent, train their team, and then hand it off. They pay once, you deliver a turnkey system that runs on autopilot, hopefully saving you time in the long run and getting the majority of your capital up front. And for people that you're selling into, this works great for people that have a technical team that can then run it. The problem here is that it really has to work, because if you give them something that isn't that effective, they aren't going to be happy and you won't be there to improve it, which is why I'd wait to do this model. The third model is called done with you. And you could charge, let's say 1 to 3K for a setup, and then maybe 500 to 2K a month for maintenance. This is where you set up an AI agent, but you stay involved for ongoing optimization and support. They ask you questions, you're there as an expert to make sure they're going down the right path, but they may actually build out and improve the agent. This is a little bit more like consulting. This model is nice because the client learns a lot and they feel like they're getting an additional ROI. Call it learning versus just the output. And The truth is people pay millions annually to learn. This is very valuable. The problem here is they may think that they don't need you, but if you got this far in your offer stack, you're probably a domain expert and they're going to want you around for their team. And the beauty with this model is it's less hands-on work for you, so it can scale up quicker. The last model, which you should not consider until you've done the first three, is a SaaS or a subscription model. This is where they pay you monthly access to, call it, your AI agent platform, and it can scale to infinity. And this sounds sexy, but it's the hardest to execute because you're competing with venture-backed companies with million-dollar budgets. And as somebody who's the COO of a venture-backed company that raised $18 million, you probably don't want to compete with these type of businesses. So in my opinion, start with a done-for-you service because it's the best way to provide value and learn from your customers. Most people want to jump into selling a SaaS service because it sounds sexy and scalable, but you'll fail if you start here. I'm saving you years of mistakes. So those are the high-level models, but that doesn't dive into what you're actually selling people. This is your offer. And something to keep in mind here is you're not selling AI agents, you're selling business outcomes. My promise isn't I'll build you an AI agent. It's I'll cut your content creation time by 75% while improving quality or your money back. Me and my friend were having a text back and forth, and I think a perfect way to describe this is a famous weightlifter, Ronnie Coleman. He says, everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift heavy weights. So don't sell the journey, sell the outcome. So let's craft your offer. To do this, I use what's called the $100 million offer framework, which was popularized by Alex Hormozi, a internet sales guru. So you need to create an offer so irresistible that people feel stupid saying no. You're not selling an AI agent, you're selling transformation. Let me show you how this works using the value equation. The value of your offer comes from 4 components. First is your dream outcome. Let's say this is what will happen. Call it 75% less time on content creation. The second is your perceived likelihood of achievement. How likely will it happen? Call this testimonials, case studies, guarantees. Third is time delay. How quickly will it happen? Let's say the results within 30 days. The fourth is effort and sacrifice. How much work is required? Let's say it's a done for you, that first model, you handle everything and they just approve it. Now here's a template I use to structure any $100 million offer. You have the promise, we'll cut your content creation time by 75% while improving quality, guaranteed. And you can get into how it's done through AI agents. This is the mechanism to deliver the business value. So with that in mind, here's a $100 million offer. We'll cut your content creation time by 75% while improving quality, doubling your views in less than 30 days, guaranteed. You'll notice the dream outcomes, saving time and getting more views. You'll notice the time delay, 30 days or less. You'll notice the perceived likelihood of achievement. That's the guarantee. Then the effort and sacrifice. It's guaranteed that it'll work. They won't actually have to sacrifice anything. So that guarantee helps with the perceived likelihood of outcome as well as the sacrifice concern. If you want to learn more about this offer topic, I have a video titled How I Stole Alex Hormozi's $100 million marketing strategy using AI, and you'll really love that. That's on my channel. You can check that out later. Okay, so now once you have the offer, you need to sell your product. And the first step to selling your product is I like being my own case study. So part of the reason I stressed how important it is to be a domain expert in whatever you're building is you have to make sure that the AI agent provides value. And if it can provide value to you, then you'll know it'll provide value to other people. So if you can be your first customer, you already have a customer. You are the customer. And this is exactly how I built out my content agency. I used the full content system we offered our clients for myself, figured out what worked, what didn't, what I liked as a creator, what I thought wasn't needed, and I was able to test this and build it on myself. And then suddenly I had something to prove what I was doing was working. The more proof you have, the easier it will be to sell. And usually you need some sort of proof before you can sell anything. So by being your own case study, it helps you get that first piece of proof while simultaneously improving your offer. It's a win-win. That's my suggestion for step 1. If you can't do that, that's fine. Go right to step 2, which is all about using your warm connections and reaching out to them with a value-first approach. If you selected the right domain, I guarantee you know business owners who are drowning in the problems that you're solving. So reach out to them, but don't pitch them. Instead, be like, hey, I built this system that's saving me 15 hours per week on content. Want me to show you how it works? You're not really selling anything. You're sharing the information and you're leading with value. And good things will happen And these people will already trust you if you provide that value. So then they may ask additional questions and it's easier to convert. Another strategy, step 3, is you can offer free audit strategies on cold outbound. This is another example of leading with value, just a different audience. You can offer free audits where you analyze businesses' current process. Like if I was running your business, here's the first AI system I'd implement and exactly why it could 3x your output. This positions you as an expert and gets them thinking about solutions, well, showcasing your expertise. Now, before you go selling anything, you have to ask this question: what objections will people have? And you have to build out those solutions into your offer. And when I say an objection, this is any reason that somebody may not buy your service. For example, what if the AI agent breaks? Your solution could be, we provide 24/7 Slack support and guarantee 99% uptime. Another question could be, what if my team doesn't know how to use this? You could say, this includes complete training videos and live onboarding sessions. A more specific one to the AI agent I built could be, what if the content doesn't match our current brand? Can say, every output goes through our brand alignment system before reaching you. And we use your previous post to train the AI so it knows exactly the style of content you want. Now, don't get me wrong. I did just give you everything you'd need to build and sell AI agents. But there's a massive difference between knowing what to build and how to sell it to actually marketing and selling your service. And I didn't dive into that too much here. And no matter what you want to build, if you can't sell it, you're not going to make money. Now, luckily for you, in this video right here, I go over how I stole Alex Hormozi's $100 million marketing strategy using AI, which will walk you through how you can use AI to immediately start making sales and get new clients. No matter what type of AI agent you want to build, what I cover over there will be super useful. So go check that out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.